Welcome to Night Whispers, where the darkness speaks.
This happened about 3 years ago, somewhere in the vast, empty stretches of rural New Mexico. You ever have one of those drives where everything feels a little too quiet, where the road just seems to stretch on into an endless black ribbon? That's what it was like that night. I was heading out to visit my sister after a long business trip. It was getting late, close to 11:30 p.m., and I realized with a growing sense of unease that I had seen another car for at least an hour. My GPS had lost its signal a while back, and my phone battery was clinging to life at 10%. The high desert stretched out like a dark ocean on both sides of the road. No houses, no towns, just an overwhelming, silent darkness. That's when it happened. The dreaded check engine light flickered on. A few seconds later, the car started sputtering, coughing like it was its last breath. I pulled over to the shoulder, my heart pounding in my chest, trying my best not to panic. When the engine died completely, plunging me into absolute silence, it hit me. I had seen a gas station or even an exit sign for miles. I was completely stranded. And that's when I saw it. A single, lonely, glowing sign in the distance. A flickering neon light that read, "Gaso Pound, 24 hours. I swear to you, I hadn't seen it just a moment before. It was as if it just appeared out of the darkness. But at that point, I didn't have much of a choice. I grabbed my bag, locked the car, and started walking toward that flickering promise of help. It took me about 15 minutes to reach it. The crunch of gravel under my feet, the only sound in the dead night. The place looked old, like a relic pulled straight out of the 1960s. There were 2 rusted pumps, an ancient-looking ice chest, and a small convenience store lit by a single buzzing fluorescent light. Inside, an old man stood behind the counter, smiling, but it was too wide, unsettlingly wide. "Evening, miss," he said. His voice was low and raspy, like dry leaves skittering across pavement. "You're out awful late. Long way from anywhere, ain't you?" I just nodded, a little breathless from the walk, and explained that my car had broken down just up the road. He just kept smiling, that fixed, wide smile. I noticed he didn't blink much, either. "Well," he said finally, after a long pause, "you're lucky. Folks don't usually stop here, not at this hour." He chuckled, a dry, rattling sound that didn't sound friendly at all. "Midnight's coming. You best stay off that road once it hits." I gave a nervous laugh, trying to brush it off, and pretended to browse the snacks to avoid his unnerving stare. The shelves were caked in a thick layer of dust. Most of the packages were faded, the branding ancient, and I saw expiration dates from years, even decades ago. In the corner, I spotted a payphone one, of those old rotary ones. On a desperate whim, I picked it up. All I heard was static, but then, underneath it, whispering. Soft, sibilant whispers, like someone was talking just on the other side of the receiver. I dropped it with a clatter. The old man didn't even flinch. He just stared at me from behind the counter. His smile, somehow wider now. "Told ya, ma'am," he said quietly, his voice barely above a whisper. "You don't want to be on that road after midnight." My eyes darted to the old, yellowed clock on the wall. The hands showed 11:57 p.m., 3 minutes to midnight. A knot of dread tightened in my stomach. I told him I'd just wait until morning, maybe try to call for a tow then. He said that'd be smart, but there was no motel for 100 miles. He then offered a small room in the back where I could rest for free. I hesitated. Everything in me screamed that this was a bad idea. But what other option did I have? Stay out on that road. Reluctantly, I agreed. The walls were lined with old, faded photographs, dozens of them, all of people standing in front of this very gas station. But the weird part, the truly unsettling part, every single face was slightly blurred, out of focus, as if the photo itself couldn't quite hold their image still. He opened a small door at the end of the hall, revealing a dark, musty room with a single cot and a dim lamp. "Rest easy," he said, his voice still low and raspy. "And whatever you do," he paused, looking me dead in the eye, "don't open the blinds. No matter what you hear." Then he shut the door, and I heard a lock click. I lay down on the cot, fully clothed, my mind racing. I checked my phone one last time, no signal. 3% battery. It was useless. Right around midnight, I heard it. The sound of tires on the gravel outside. Footsteps. Slow, heavy, dragging footsteps just beyond the window with the blinds. And then someone whispered my name. Not ma'am, my actual first name. I froze, ice flooding my veins. How? No one on earth knew I was here. Then came a soft knock, not on the door, on the window pane. 3 distinct times. Tap, tap. The old man's warning echoed in my head. Asterisk, don't open the blinds. Asterisk, I stayed completely still, holding my breath, praying whatever was out there would just go away. The voice outside whispered again, and this time my blood ran cold. It sounded exactly like my sister. "It's me," the voice pleaded. "Let me in. Open the door." But it wasn't her. The voice kept repeating it, getting angrier with each repetition, more distorted, until it devolved into a sound like radio static, then a low, guttural growl. Suddenly, I heard more footsteps running this time. The lock on my door clicked and the door flew open. It was the old man, his face a mask of panic. The smile was gone. "I told you," he hissed. "You need to go now." He grabbed my arm and dragged me out, not through the store, but through a back door that opened into the cold desert air. He shoved me toward the road, and there it was, my car, sitting there, perfectly fine, the headlights on, the engine humming softly. I didn't question it. I didn't hesitate. I scrambled into the driver's seat, slammed the door, and drove like hell. In my rear-view mirror, I saw the gas station's neon sign flicker one last time, and then vanish completely, as if it had never been there at all. When I finally reached a town an hour later, I stopped at the sheriff's office, my hands still shaking. I told him my story. He listened patiently, then looked at me with a tired expression. He told me there had indeed been a gas station on that stretch of road in over 30 years. It burned down to the ground in '89, he said. "You're lucky you didn't stop there for real," he added, his voice grim. "Bad things happen past midnight on that stretch." I didn't argue. Every time I'm driving at night and I see a lone gas station glowing in the distance, I just keep driving. Some places don't want to be found, and some smiles, they aren't meant for people who are still alive. Thanks for listening to my story. If you enjoyed it, please hit that like button and consider subscribing for more content like this. Stay safe out there.